Hi everyone, in this session I'm going to show you how to perform the sales return or credit note for the students. Basically, you will be having scenario where you need to give a discount to your students once the invoice is raised. Now, as per the e-invoicing regulations, you cannot void the invoice or delete the invoice or modify it. So a scenario has come, you have already raised the invoice on the quarterly or monthly basis, and now you want to edit that invoice after raising and approving it. You want to edit that invoice due to any reason. Maybe the management has decided to give a discount to that student. And that scenario, you have to go to student sales return module. The very first thing, go to the student sales return module, and then here you can see all the invoices that are being, you can see all the transactions which are earlier made. All right. And now let's say you want to make a new transaction related to it. So just click on create new. And here you will select the type of transaction. It's basically against the AR. So you will select the fee invoice. AR is nothing but account receivable. So account receivable will have a credit note option. Select the fee invoice. And in this transaction number, you can enter the invoice number, or you can enter the student number, or by the name, and you can identify which and what exactly is the invoice number. All right. So now I'm selecting this invoice number 3153. So this is the invoice that is selected now. Okay. Or you can select any other invoice based on your requirements. Let's say you select any other student, and all the invoices of that friends will show up here. And you're selecting any other invoice. Here, now you selected the invoice. Now, based on this invoice selection, it will show the invoice amounts which are there. Basically, it will show the entire invoice amounts regardless of what the parent has actually paid. Okay. So now let's say you want to see that if the parent has paid in some amount and some amount or not, then in that scenario, you have to keep your fee invoice reconciliation report in parallelly open to it. So this is a student ID. I'll just copy this invoice number, copy it here in this report. You can just go and copy this invoice number. And then you see in this is the invoice number, and that all the fee heads are shown up here. Admission, book, ID, miscellaneous. Okay. And from this column, we can come to know what is the balance amount and the payment or the net payment. So the payment, the parent has made non-payment, no payment at all, and this is the balance. And now the school, let's say, has decided to waive off the admission fee, book fee, ID fee, and miscellaneous fee. But the parent has to pay again the partial in tuition fee. Okay. Let's say the schools are to waive off the complete balance except tuition fee, where tuition fee will be partial. So now let's go to student sales return. Here, you're going to waive off the complete amount, 390, 490, 40. But the school said no, ID fee will not be discounted. You have to pay the ID fee. So make it, you can remove from this transaction. So we are deleting it from this transaction. And then tuition fee, the school said no, it has to be paid partially. We cannot waive off fully. So we are removing it partially. Okay. So we are discounting to the parent. So basically here what we're doing is discounting the parent. Discount after invoice is posted because we cannot modify it. So we have to go with the credit note process. Credit note. Okay. So now what is happening? Click on add. Once you click on add, system will reverse the income and the VAT. Click on the view transaction ledger. Once you click on the view of the transaction, and in this transaction, you can view in the bottom, you have a report section. Okay, so if you see here in the bottom, all your income ledgers related to that component. For admission, we have a different ledger. For book, we have a different ledger. So whatever the ledgers were linked to that component, it is debited. And the output VAT is also debited with respect to that amount. and it has credited in one of the clearing account. Okay, so we are using one of the clearing account. That ledger, basically its nature is like sales return ledger. If this ledger is not configured, then you will receive an error while clicking on add that your sales account ledger sales return ledger is not configured. Then in that scenario, you can contact our credit ticket to configure the sales return ledger. We will configure it, and then you should be able to make these transactions. So once you make this transaction, if you see the fee invoice reconciliation report, just refresh and see this credit column here. Just see the difference. Refresh. Here, it will show the amount, 345 credit note, 564 credit note, okay? And the 0 real, because we have removed this item as school decided that the parent has to pay this amount, and this was partial. Because here it's 110 before VAT. So after VAT, the respective amount will get applied. Clear? This is how the credit, but still the balance is not reduced. The balances remain same, but the credit has increased. So now you have made a student sales return. Okay. Now system has made another transactions on its own, fee advance module. If you go and see in the fee advance module, you have a fee advance module. Upon making sales return transaction, system has automatically made a fee advance transaction. If you see here by student 7011, system has already made an advance transaction. This is in advance module, but this transaction is a credit note transaction with a total amount. And just to see the ledger impacts of this ledger, I'm just moving this slide here for your better understanding. You see here in the report section, it has debited the clearing account that was used here. Memo clearing account, credited, and this has got debit. So it is clear here. And what it has created? It has created the advanced ledger, which were linked to these ledgers, which are linked to this fee components. So it has created the advanced ledgers, which were linked to these fee components in fee component setup module. We have a fee component setup module where you can link the ledgers, if you remember it. So here you'll be linking all the ledgers correctly. It has reversed it. So it is now the amount is lying under these ledgers. So now that's all. This transaction is automatically made by the system, nothing to be done. So basically you'll be doing student sales return alone, nothing apart from that. Okay, that you'll be doing student by student. Now, at the end of the day, once in a day or once in a week, up to you, you can decide, you can do the settlement of these credit notes against the invoices which are there, because this invoice, if you see in the fee invoice reconciliation report, it has a balance. So at once in a day or once in a week, up to your requirement, you can go to bulk fee payment module. This is bulk fee payment module. I'm opening it another screen. Okay. You will have to click on create new. Once you click on create new, system will show you all the transactions. Okay. Here you will select the type as return settlement, because we are settling the returns. So return settlement, payment method can be others. Okay, or it can be anything, it doesn't matter. On which date you're settling, I'm settling on today's date. And academic year, you'll select the today's academic year. Okay, so the current academic year, and it will show all the students by default against whom there are invoices and there are payments. These payments are nothing but credit note. Okay, so this amount is nothing but the pending invoices. Now we don't want to settle all. We can settle all once in a go, click add, that's done. But I want something to show you separately. That is 7, that's respective student. And this student, if you see amount, it's 933.25. Why is it show? Why is it so? If you go in fee invoice reconciliation report and filter by the student, sorry, you go in fee invoice reconciliation report and filter by this, rather than invoice number, if you filter by student ID, you will come to know why exactly. You see here, these are all the invoices pending for these students. Not pending, which everything has. For quarter 2, quarter 3, everywhere. Okay, quarter 2, quarter 3, everywhere. Clear? Now, the best way to deal with it is you want to settle the credit note against the same quarter, not against a different quarter. So this invoice belongs to first quarter. So better in the bulk fee payment, select the academic year and then select quarter 1. Okay, because this invoice, which we give a credit note, student sales return, belongs to quarter 1. Okay, so I want to settle in the bulk fee payment against the quarter 1 invoices only. So now once I'm clicking on add, system will create an automated entry in the fee invoice payment module. And I'll just opening in another screen. And if you see here, you'll be seeing an entry created for the student 7011 Matthew. Okay, the type here, it is differentiating for you, return settlement. Okay, and it is 2081. So system has automatically made an entry in fee invoice payment. And what is the ledger impact of this? The ledger impact of it is it has credited the receivable and debited the advance or unearned income ledger. So now basically it is reversing your AR, account receivables. Clear, team? So the final impact is reversing the revenue and reversing the AR, which is happening in the process of 3 transactions. First transaction you made was student sales return. That will be student invoice by invoice. Okay. Second transaction is automatically created by system in the fee advance module as credit note. And third transaction that you are making is bulk fee payment, and the system is creating on its own the 4th transaction, which is reversing of the ARs. So these are the entire ledger impacts. And now if you see the same invoice number, I'll just differentiate the invoice number 156, I believe. Okay, now if you see the refresh, okay, this is the total credit. Okay, and here if you see, this is the balance, the payment is made. This is a total credit, and now the balance is also reduced. Okay, because the AR is reduced after bulk fee payment. So this is the final impact that needs to be paid by the parent. So now once the parent is making the payment, the same process continues. Using fee invoice payment, you will collect the collection. So this is how the credit note will work. When you will use the credit note, you will use the credit note in scenario number 1, when you want to give a discount after invoice is raised. Scenario number 2, when you want to reverse the invoice, the complete invoice, you want to reverse it, then in that scenario, if you make any mistake in that invoice, you can reverse the complete invoice. In that scenario, you will use the credit note. I hope it's pretty much clear now. Now, there is a scenario where you have made a miscellaneous payment or you want to give a refund to the parent. Okay, let's talk about a scenario giving a refund. The parent had paid the tuition fees. Okay, the parent has already paid the tuition fees. Let's say this parent has paid the tuition fee of this first one. So let's collect the parent for this student. I'll just copy and I'll go in fee invoice payment. And first I will record the payment for this student. Now he's paying the fee. Okay, so 7011, I'm selecting the student. So once selecting, it is showing me all the invoices with the net balances that has to be paid by this student. Okay, so he is paying here the full payment, 690. He also is paying the full payment. Here is paying approximately, let's say, the full payment. And for this second best service is paying partially 500. So I'll record partially 500. Okay, so now he is paying till this quarter on this date. So now this is done. Now, the payment is made by the parent. Now, due to some reason, the parent has canceled the invoice. Let's say the parent said that don't want to continue for the bus service. Though they paid for the bus service, they don't want to continue, or though paid it, but they did not use this service. Okay, this is the invoice. Invoice number 153, Matthew. Okay, bus service one way. What are the services used? 600 is the amount. Okay, but the tax is 690. So this is the 690 that the payment is already made by the parent. But the parent did not utilize this service, and he is asking for a refund. And school decides to give refund maybe 50% or full, depending on the nature of the student. So now we have to use the refund option. Now copy this transaction, go to student sales return module. Okay, click on create new as usual. Okay. So here you will select the fee invoice and enter the reference invoice number. This is the invoice number. Okay. And here from this invoice reconciliation report, you can see that, from the fee invoice reconciliation report, you can see that clearly the parent has made a payment of 690. So now the school decided that we will refund the fee approximately 50%. So 300, we will refund it back. So now in that scenario, refunding the VAT should also be reversed. And we are refunding from respective bank account. Let's say we are refunding from what are the bank account you want to select. You can select a bank account. Okay, I'm selecting a bank account or petty cash. If you're reversing from petty cash, you can select the petty cash also. Not an issue, I'm selecting petty cash. All right, and then I'm reversing it. Click on add. That's it. So now, if you notice in this transaction, you will see that in the report section, okay, the amount is reversed. So basically the bus fee VAT is debited and credited your bank or petty cash, whatever is selected. This process for the refund is simple. For the refund, you need not make any bulk fee payment or adjustment. It is automatically adjusted because it's a cash process, right? So you're refunding back the cash to the parent. So in that scenario, you need not involve this entire steps. Only way you need to involve is in the credit note process. And if you see the transaction, all the transactions will be listed out here. And now there are other scenarios where you're doing the collection. You're doing it from two screens: fee invoice, where you will raise your AR and collect the payment for the fee invoice payment. The other transactions are in that fee invoice, you have two scenarios, either refund or discount. Discount, you have to always use the credit note. Okay, credit note. But if you want to refund, then you have to use it for refund. If you want to give refund to the parent, you have to use refund. Now, miscellaneous fee payment. Miscellaneous fee payment are always the cash transactions because we are not raising any invoice. On the spot, you will pay, you will collect the collection, you will collect the amount from the parent. So miscellaneous fee payment should always be refund, not credit note. They should always be refunded only. They cannot be credit note. If any mistake is happening to miscellaneous fee payment, you have to always make refund and select the refund from account from which you are refunding and make a new miscellaneous fee payment to avoid the mistakes. Clear? Same thing goes for the book sales transaction also. So it's the entire process of student sales return module. And once you are making this transaction here, your VAT report and everything is getting affected. Your VAT is also reversed and it is compliance with the e-invoicing module. And you can print it and the print can be shared with the parent at any point of time. Thank you.